As a fan of digital pinball, Demon's Tilt is killing it. The crazy table with an exciting theme demands dedication to figuring it all out. This is one of the most complex tables I've played. Nothing like a real pinball table. Not that I've seen one since I was a kid at the bowling alley, too worried about wasting money to play the Addams Family machine. Anyway, I don't think pinball is a hot seller, and I don't consider myself a pinhead. Still, if you are playing digital pinball tables, then you probably have Pinball FX3. Those are 3D tables where they reproduce what it's like to play real pinball, the opposite experience of Demon's Tilt. I went back and played Pinball FX3 to make sure I knew the difference. It's research. And let me tell you, wow, the metal ball is so heavy on a real table. Demon's Tilt has an entirely different feeling. And sometimes the ball will do things that are not physically possible. But I'm not complaining since it's easy to follow. And that's because the 2D view smoothly follows the ball. Demon's Tilt is more like an arcade game than trying to replicate pinball. So if realistic pinball is what you're searching for, this isn't it. Demon's Tilt's table has a lot going on. It's really flashy. It's a lot to take in at first, but as you keep playing, you find all the nuances. For example, what the heck are rituals? Or what does getting in the cup on top of the woman's head do? I'll cover some of that later. What you should know is that the 3-tiered table is lovely. With so many flippers, there's always something to do. The top tier has 2 flippers spread far apart, so it's more challenging to keep the ball there. Then the middle section has 2 flippers and looks like a typical pinball machine. At the bottom, there are another 4 flippers. 2 are in the middle of the tier so you can boost the ball to the level above. Then there are 2 at the bottom, which are the final ones before the drain. Each tier feels like its own table with its own separate mechanics. It isn't easy to tell what brings them all together. For example, each layer has its own ritual counter. The table is missing subways or ramps that move the ball to other levels, which would have added cohesion. Instead, the game relies on magic, which thematically is best, but keeps them separate. Sure, the fact that they're all on one table combines them into a super pinball machine. Still, you don't have to worry about other parts of the table, only the one you're using. Now, I don't think it's a problem, but if you're going to have a giant table, you should take full advantage of that. They do capitalize on digital only in other ways, so it's weird that they didn't here. Oh, hey, side note. According to my YouTube analytics, my audience should remember Epic Pinball. Do you remember those pinball games? I played them for hours as a kid, specifically the Deep Sea and Android ones. But those were trying to emulate pinball tables the best that they could at the time, and looking back, it wasn't that great. It didn't take full advantage of being digital only like Demon's Tilt does. Still, I had a lot of fun playing them. Now, as I mentioned before, Demon's Tilt's table has a lot of surprises. One of those being the green portals, which, when entered, magically move your ball. They can be helpful, and you'll grow to rely on them while playing. Also, the rituals give you mini quests to complete on the table. The right side of the screen shows all 3 rituals and what they currently require. They test your ability to get the ball exactly where you need it. And I'll be damned if I can get it in those bumpers in the left-hand middle screen. Yet, I can't tell you what happens when you complete them all because I haven't been able to do it, as those bumpers, they're a real problem for me. Another primary mechanic is right in the game's name, tilt. This is a standard pinball term for lifting the machine, nudging it, or shaking it beyond acceptable levels. You shove the table to try and move the ball. When a machine goes into tilt, it locks up and forces the player to lose the current ball. But in Demon's Tilt, they build the game around it. Using the left stick, you can nudge the ball. It's not subtle, and it's almost like an invisible demon hand that knocks the ball around. This table has tilt as well, The meter in the bottom right shows that if you push things too far, you'll die instantly. I haven't been able to exploit this mechanic yet. It's challenging to know when is the correct time to use it, and I've made mistakes. And the ball will go completely the wrong direction and fall right through the drain. It drives me crazy. The game requires mastery of this skill to get the highest score possible and keep the ball in play. Now you would think that the nudge is useful against the bullet hell, shmup, or hack and slash elements, but it isn't. And those mechanics have a lot less impact on the game than you expect. The bullets can get in the way and they push your ball a little, yet I always powered through or waited it out. The ball can't take damage, so shooting the ball into bullets is an excellent tactic. Sure, they block your ball, but were you really going to land that shot anyway? Slowing it down and holding the ball on the flipper works too. And the hack and slash, I have no idea what the game is talking about. Maybe something I haven't seen yet after you complete the rituals, I don't know. Moving on. Demon's Tilt has 3 game modes. Normal, which is the one I've gone over this whole time. Hardcore, which is a one-ball mode that's super difficult. The table changes to make it much easier to drain the ball. Last, there's EX mode, which has new rules and bonus subtables. This is the real mode you must play if you want to experience everything the game has to offer. This version of the table has more mechanics, but it is much more difficult. Again, the table changes to make it easier to fall through the drain, but not as much as hardcore mode. But EX mode has a ton more bullets around, so it's hard to hit those trick shots. I love that there are different experiences, since the game only has one table. Demon's Tilt's most notable flaw is explaining all of this to the player. The player has 2 choices. First, you can always keep the ball in play as long as possible because the longer you do, the higher your score. You'll end up hitting things, and if you end up keeping the ball in play infinite amount of time, of course you're going to get a high score. That's how these games work. Then, you can just slowly figure out what everything does. Kind of like a roguelike where it's up to you to determine everything. Second, the player can read the Steam guide. Yeah, I know, but it's useful. It depends on the player which route to take, but it can get frustrating trying to get the high score and not even be able to grasp what is giving you a multiplier. This is the only screen in-game to explain stuff to the player, and it's not good enough. Another much smaller issue is how hectic the screen can get. When you've got the crazy power up and 2 balls are in play, it's impossible to keep track of everything. Even though the settings offer a lot of options to help with that. It's part of the wild nature of Demon's Tilt, which isn't typical in a pinball game. So keep it in mind if you're not into that sort of thing. Here's an example of when that happens. Overall, this pixel art pinball game is a blast. It takes time to master putting the ball where you want it, and I always want to get a fantastic score every time I play. I'm a massive fan of trying to get the best and perfect run with one ball, so the hardcore mode is ideal for me. I recommend it to anyone that is looking for something different. You can play a few games in a sitting and still get something out of it. It is only one table though, and I hope more tables can be added later. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Had a good 2019, and all the support and nice comments that you leave do not go unnoticed, and I appreciate every one of them. Thank you very much for watching.